Well, hello, Enneagram enthusiasts. I'm so excited to be talking to you today about Enneagram and the grid. And what is the grid? The grid is Terry Real. It's from Terry Real, who was originally trained by Pia Melody. So this model is the post-induction therapy model. But what most of you know, or if you don't know, it's under the model of relational life therapy. So, what that means is to you, like, what does it mean? It means there's a predictable way that each type shows up in relationships, in particular in couple relationships, but really honestly in relationships with everyone. So maybe it's a relationship between coach and client, maybe it's a relationship between therapist and client, maybe it's a relationship between the client and their partner or their child. So when we're looking at the grid, we are looking at like how people show up in relationship. And when I mean in relationship, usually we're talking about like, hey, what is their attachment style? Is their attachment style more avoidant? So that would be walled in. Is their attachment style more boundaryless? Which would be boundaryless on the grid. And just so that we can start to talk about this, I'm going to see if I can do something fancy and share my screen. But for some reason, I may not be able to do that. So let me check it out here. I think I might have to end being live to share the screen. Okay, so I don't know that anyone is live with me. I know it's a weird time. So basically, let's go and let's check out that. Let's check out that picture that I listed above. So the grid, as Terry Real calls it, is a line, and the line goes, one line goes horizontal or vertical people, which is at the top of that line, we'd look at grandiose behavior. So the vertical line, one up, the way in our world that we think about one up is that's like when people get into grandiose behavior. So that would be I'm right. That would be you're wrong. That would be I have the only answer that's correct, or I'm better than, I'm good, right? So Enneagram ones are going to show this different. They're going to be like, I'm good, I'm correct, I did it the right way. Enneagram nines will probably express this differently. When they go one up, it's more like, I'm the fair one, right? I'm fair, you're not. Look at how you reacted. I didn't lose my cool. So it's when people get into judgment with other people. So when you get into judgment with other people on that vertical line, you start moving upwards. And when you start moving upwards, you get out of relational behavior, and that's our sweet spot. That's where we can have intimacy. So relational behavior is always in same as, like I have worth, you have worth. If I'm in judgment of you, I can't be connected to you. So this is like the coolest thing ever when you pair it with the Enneagram, which is something that I love to teach therapist coaches, whoever wants to learn it, honestly. If you get into same as, I have worth, you have worth, you can do intimacy. So what you'll notice is if someone moves into grandiosity, it feels not good, right? Like if someone's telling you you're wrong, I'm right, I'm better than you, etc. And I think all therapists, coaches, whatever your job is, you've been around someone like that before. It doesn't feel good, right? Now, there's one of two ways those people do this. Those people, we, I am one of those people too. We all, okay, so here's the deal, guys. We all have a way that we do grandiosity. There is no one that is not human. We all judge at some point other people. The way we judge for each type is kind of predictable, which I think is super cool. So when we go one up and we move out of our relational behavior with other people, we can do it one of two ways. We can be walled in about it, right? Like my poop doesn't stink is walled in. Or I can tell you exactly how wrong you are and exactly all the ways you are wrong. That would be boundaryless. So when people get boundaryless, you can feel the energy. When I think about boundaryless, who are the boundaryless types? Ding, 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 ding. Eights. So generally, eights, I've seen it. I've seen it, guys. I've seen it more times than I'd probably admit. Most eights go boundaryless in therapy, and my guess is probably if you are a coach, a realtor, they do the same thing. Um, so when people go boundaryless, they're going to just kind of say whatever there, no holds bar. That would be very boundaryless. That's them really moving to that other side of that horizontal grid. Um, when people are walled in, it's very like nose up in the air, and you can feel that too because it's judgment and it's not talked about. But if I were to say, hey, what type goes one up boundaryless, right? Pretty consistently, it is your Enneagram 8, guys. Go figure. Now, who else? Who else? I wish you guys could talk with me. I'd be like, who do you guess else? Counterphobic 6. Hey, Cheryl, I see you. I don't think you're a counterphobic 6, but maybe. So, counterphobic 6 will go one up and they'll go boundaryless, but the way they do it is different than the 8. The 8 will just go for it. Like, 8 will just be like, I'm going to stab you in the gut, and you're going to know I'm stabbing you in the gut. The 6 will do it more with logic. Because guess what, guys? 6s are head types. This is what you're going to learn in the workshop. I'm so excited. Is to even start typing, we need to know like what are the triads? The head types, they think with their head. The heart types, they use their heart. And the belly types, we use our gut. And with those gut types and the head types, they get boundaryless. Now, guess what other numbers go boundaryless? 2s, you're right. 2s are kind of known for their boundaryless behavior. So when you look at the grid and you have a client come in and you're like, I'm pretty sure this client is an Enneagram 2, you're going to also be looking for, do they run more boundaryless? They do. Okay, so you have another piece of information on board to be like, yeah, I wonder if they are in that heart triad. I wonder if they're a 2, or another boundaryless type would be the 4. Yes, so Enneagram 2s and Enneagram 4s tend to run boundaryless. So when I talk about the boundaryless types, I'm talking 2, 4, 6, 8. Isn't that great? 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? The way the others do grandiosity tends to be more on the other end. So 5s, the way 5s do grandiosity is very walled in. Like you generally not, a 5 is, you're going to feel the anger before they ever say they're angry. 9, same thing. If a 9 does grandiosity, kind of explodes, I would be looking for an 8 wing. I'd be very curious about an 8 wing. 9 with 1 wing, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I'd be curious if you see it and you want to challenge me on that. Let's go for it. I'd be curious. I'd be curious if you guys have seen it. I know I'm getting a little deeper in here. So I know some of you have basic knowledge of the grid. Some of you have no knowledge of the grid. So let's go back to the grid, right? We said horizontal line up here. So up here is I'm good, I'm right, you're not, right? Like I'm in judgment of you. You're the problem, not me. Now, the other end of the grid, one down, right? One down is just like it sounds. I'm bad. I'm wrong. I'm the problem, right? So now you're seeing two types of ways that people handle contempt. Maybe they go one down. I'm bad. I'm the problem. Let me take all that shame and express it as my fault, right? And you have the one uppers, the grandiose, the narcissist, the I'm right, I'm good, I'm righteous, all that stuff, who do it differently. Now, these numbers, again, everybody does grandiosity, but they do it different. They do it different, okay? There are some numbers that are predictably their set space, right? They're one down. That is their home. They land one down. One down is their home. I'm bad, I'm the problem. So, with some of those numbers, the numbers that I'm bad, I'm the problem, something's wrong with me, I don't fit in, guess what? Can you guys guess? Can you guys guess? Nobody's guessing. I would say Enneagram 4, right? Now, that doesn't mean they don't do grandiosity, but there is a like, I'm the problem. Weirdly enough, Enneagram 1, if you get in there, if they start trusting you, they'll see that I'm the problem. And so to fix that problem, I'm going to get really perfect with everything I do. Yes. With Enneagram, who else is I'm the problem? With Enneagram 9, they usually are overly responsible. I'm the problem, right? So it's really cool when you start to integrate the grid with the Enneagram because you're going to have, again, a shortcut with your clients like nobody's business. Now, how you do interventions with these types is something different, right? And some of us therapists, some of us coaches, we love grandiose. Like I love working with grandiose clients. I love it because I'm like, oh, I get you. Oh yeah, I think like you. And let me talk to you about how not relational that is, how that's never going to get you what you want. With the one downers, it's different. It is a slower, it is a build, build, build. We're going to work on self love, self love, self love, 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 love. We're going to work on that. And then we will also talk about how offending from the victim position, how when you are usually doing offensive behavior, it's from a victim position. So with those Enneagram types that run one down, right? Let's look at the offense from the victim position. Now, Terry Real talks about victim position, that we all do emotional violence from the victim position. I believe that's true. Here's what I'm going to do though, caveat. The grandiose types, they just kind of offend. They're kind of a big, oh, whatever guys, I do what I want. So that would be more your 3. Who else are our asserters? Those asserter types, 3, 7, and 8. 3, 7, and 8. So if you feel like you've got a narcissist or a grandiose in the room and they're not super head typey, it's probably a 3, a 7, or an 8. Now, sometimes 5s and 6s can feel it. You can feel it from them too. So I'd be curious about some of you who know the Enneagram well, if you've seen differences there, but I'd fair to say, usually you won't. Usually if you get in a, you know, Terry Real says pissy match, so pardon my French, but if you get in a pissy match with a client and they're not a 2, a 7, or an 8, then for me, as an 8, it's a 5 or a 6, maybe a 1. So again, knowing the numbers. So if you're not sure on the numbers, give yourself a big old break here because I'm kind of jumping ahead, taking those numbers and talking to you about how they relate with other people. The grid is one of the most amazing things ever to learn. Now, Terry Real talks about it. This is a must-have book for everyone, not just therapists. Everyone is New Rules of Marriage. So if you don't have that book, please get it. Please get it. Please read it. Please listen to it. Now, if you are not someone that wants to read it, his other most amazing tool that I've used with my clients is Fierce Intimacy. Oh my God, it's amazing. Fierce Intimacy. So I'll write a little note on this for you guys too, that those are the 2 that I think work so well with the Enneagram. And again, like the cool thing is you can learn this stuff if you want. You don't have to. You'll probably learn aspects of it just by learning the types and the numbers and learning how to start, right? To start typing your clients. But what's more beneficial is if your clients are into it, that they start to understand their type, because they'll start to understand the overworked muscle and the gift. The gift and the overworked muscle, it's like a mirror. It's one and the same. It's one and the same, guys. So I'm really excited for you to learn more. If you have more questions on the grid, post them below. I'll do my best to answer them. I will post another picture of that grid. So again, with the grid, 1 up, I'm right. I have more narcissistic traits, right? We're seeing a lot of stuff. I'm just going to give a quick kudo here. We're seeing a lot of stuff on, oh, I'm with a narcissist. I'm with a narcissist. It's like, guys, there's only about 1% of the population that actually meets narcissistic personality disorder. You are likely not with a narcissist. You're with someone who is stuck in their adolescent, right? Now, certain types, certain Enneagram types are going to show that adolescent behavior differently. So be careful when you have people that are talking about narcissistic abuse, all that stuff, maybe, right? But it might be that their partner is really avoidant or their partner's really one up and they're showing behaviors in ways that is very grandiose. Here's the cool thing. If they're not personality disorder, if they're not a narcissist, you can shift it. You can shift it with your clients and it will shift. It's so cool to watch. So some of my favorite work is to work with clients who do run more grandiose, just because I'm recovering from my grandiosity and at times I do better than others, but it is kind of a recovery process. So I love the idea of relational recovery because as anybody knows, right, we can be sane one moment, sane not the next. Um, so it's really important that we have a plan for relational recovery. I believe knowing the Enneagram type as a therapist, it's important. Like you need to know it so you can help your clients get in recovery with their type. When clients are in recovery, when they're in the right amount of self-worth, when they're in the right place with their boundaries, when they're in the right place with how they're taking in their environment, when they're in the right place with meeting needs and passions, and when they're in the right place with expressing themselves in moderate ways, they are on fire and they're going to be like, wow, you are the most amazing therapist ever. So learn this stuff, guys. I'm so excited for you to keep learning. If you have questions, go ahead and post them in here. I really want you guys to A, know your type, B, start to get as much as you can out of this process because the Enneagram is amazing and I want it to do amazing things for you too. Okay, any questions? Feel free to post them below. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great afternoon. I'm going to work on getting my podcast out today. So I'm going to talk on the podcast about the core wounds of the type. So that should be out hopefully later today. Okay, take care, guys. If you do want to be on the podcast list, I'm sending out automatic emails for that. So if you do, I'll post a link to get on that list for those automatic emails for when that's updated. Otherwise, you can just subscribe to the podcast on whatever feed you want to use. Okay, I look forward to seeing you guys on the 21st. If you do have questions, if you don't know your type, please shoot us a message on the group so the group can learn too. Okay, take care. Bye.